Hello, everyone. My name is Jake, and I live in Kansas City, Missouri, with my wife and our two kids. Um, One of my favorite aspects of Kansas City is that it is where I met my wife. So I am not from Kansas City, and neither is she. We both grew up overseas. So I grew up in the UK. I spent my childhood there. Then I lived in Miami, Florida throughout my 20s. I moved to Haiti for a few years and then Kansas City. Similarly, she grew up in South Africa, moved to the States when she was 16, and we met in Kansas City. And when we tell people our stories, oftentimes what we hear is they say, "Wow, of all the places you could have met, you met in Kansas City," and I kind of like that about our story. And I think it also speaks to how Kansas City is kind of this underrated, kind of unassuming city. And that's how I would choose to describe Kansas City. I think it is kind of unassuming and a little sort of underrated. People don't think of Kansas City as being that culturally diverse, and yet it is. And it has a tremendous art scene and music scene and lots of cultural diversity. Certainly has its challenges for sure, but it's a very dynamic and diverse city um, in an unexpected, at least to me, an unexpected way. So. All right, the article on Jeremiah 29 was really excellent. There's a quote here that I have that I thought that spoke to me, and this is where Professor Glenn says, the Jeremiah text details how God calls us from seeing place as a land of exile to calling it a place of home, from experiencing and promoting injustice to pursuing peace, and from living in isolation to being community. Our hope is found when we seek God's peace and human flourishing together to be community in our cities. And I think that's just a great reminder that, as Christians, our responsibility is to build the kingdom of God wherever we are for the greater good of all humanity, certainly for the common good, regardless of whether our neighbor looks like us, acts like us, is similar to us or completely different. Whether we believe the same things and hold to the same values or not, our job is to seek human flourishing together in our communities, in our cities. So I think that was, that should be the posture of our hearts as we engage our cities, and I think that was a really good reminder of that. So the course reading this week. Sorry, let me pull up my notes. So I was reading Geography of Grace. We all are, and I read the first chapter, and it was just brutal. The story of the young lady who is a sex slave and treated horribly. And it really, as I'm reading the story, I felt, kind of anger welling up within me about how this woman was treated with such injustice and cast aside so readily and so easily. And, it just made me feel very yucky inside. And then toward the end of the chapter, the author quickly turns the story and links it to Jesus, on the night that he's betrayed, breaking bread and giving it to his 12 disciples, indicative of this young woman who was literally, parsed up and sent to the 12 tribes. And in that moment, recognizing how these stories are linked and how powerfully and profoundly and personally Jesus relates to us in our suffering and has suffered on our behalf. And this poor woman, didn't suffer alone, but that Jesus was with her. I mean, linking those two stories, I've never thought of that before. That's not been on my radar at all. And it hit me really hard. And it was powerful and profound. And I've been wrestling with that all week. And I'm not sure what to do with it, but it's something very profound that I'm carrying with and wrestling through right now. So I'm grateful for it. I thought it was really excellent. Anyway, that is my intro video. It's great to meet you all. I hope to get to know you a little bit more as the course goes on. So thank you.